Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. It's always good to see you guys. Always good to be here. And you get a double today. You get this video today and tonight. Don't forget at 8 o'clock p.m. Blake is going to be joining us from the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. So stop by and see us on that live and interact, guys. We'd love to have you. Got an encounter for y'all also today, and I hope you enjoy this one. So we'll jump right into it. I've never been the kind of person to make up stories. And I sure as hell wouldn't be telling this one if it didn't happen to me. I own a decent-sized piece of land in Washington State, just outside a small town, and my property butts right up against a stretch of national forest. I've been living here for over 10 years, and I know these woods like the back of my hand. I've hunted, hiked, and camped out here more times than I can count. But what I saw that night was something different. It happened late one summer, right as the days started getting shorter. I had a routine. Every evening, I would walk my property line, just making sure everything was in order. The deer had been more active lately, so I kept an eye out for any signs of them getting into my vegetable garden. That night, it was just me and my dog, Jake, a big German shepherd who doesn't scare easy. The sun had already dipped below the tree line, leaving just enough light to see. But I had a flashlight strapped to my belt, just in case. As we moved along the back of my property, near where my land meets the forest, Jake stopped dead in his tracks, his ears perked up, and a low growl rumbled from his chest. Now, I've seen him get worked up over a coyote before, but this was different. His whole body went rigid, and he didn't take his eyes off of the tree line. I followed his gaze, and that's when I noticed something was off. The woods went completely quiet. If you've spent any time in the wilderness, you know that there's always noise, crickets, birds, the occasional rustling of something in the underbrush. But at that moment, it was dead silent. It was like the whole forest was holding its breath. That's when I heard it, a deep, low grunt, almost like a mix between a bear and a man clearing his throat. It came from just beyond the tree line, maybe 20 or 30 yards in. I flicked on my flashlight and aimed it toward the sound, expecting to see a bear or maybe even an elk. Instead, my beam landed on something entirely different. At first, I thought it was just a big shadow from a tree or a bush, but then I noticed that the two eye shines, suspended in the air, locked onto me. But as my eyes adjusted, I could make out the shape of something big, real big. It was standing just behind the tree, partially obscured, but I could see enough. The thing had to be at least 8 foot tall, maybe more. Its shoulders were massive, wider than any man I'd ever seen, and its body was covered in dark, matted hair. I could see its breath in the cool night air, slow and steady, like it wasn't in a hurry, and it wasn't tired. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Jake was still frozen, his growl turning into a whimper, which was enough to send a chill up anyone's spine. That dog wasn't afraid of anything, and yet here he was cowering next to me. And that's when I realized something. Whatever this was, it was standing on 2 legs. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I took a step forward, and my flashlight still aimed at the thing. As soon as I did, it let out a noise that I can only describe as a growl mixed with a deep, guttural yell. My whole body locked up, and before I could react, it moved back into the woods, and when I say moved, I mean it was gone in an instant. 1 second it was standing there, and the next it was nothing but shadows around me, and the sound of snapping branches as it tore through the underbrush. Jake and I didn't stick around after that. I turned and made my way back to the house as fast as I could without running. I locked up every door and window, grabbed my rifle, and sat in my living room, listening to Jake pace near the door. His ears twitched at every little sound outside. I didn't sleep well or much that night, imagine. The next morning I went back to where I'd seen, half expected to find nothing, maybe convinced myself that I'd imagined the whole thing. But there were tracks, big ones. They were bear tracks. No, wait, they wasn't bear tracks. And they sure as hell weren't human. They were wide, deep, and had a shape too familiar to a foot or for comfort. Whatever made them had weight behind it. They were too deep. I even talked about this with too many people I shouldn't have. The few I told laughed at me and made fun of me and ridiculed me, so I was even skeptical at sending this in to you. The occasional weird howling in the woods I still hear, but it's further away, deeper into the woods, and only at night sometimes, and there's just a few, and then the dead silence again with no more. One night, about 2 months after the encounter, I found something else. I was out checking my property line, and around the same spot where I was checking it, I found a deer carcass. But this wasn't any deer carcass, and it was hung on my fence by its head stuck through the post, like it had left me half of the carcass. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on here. But there was jagged claw rips all through that hide. I hope it doesn't come to my house. I've put up lights and done everything I know to do. We do all of our business before dark, and then we barricade ourselves down for a movie every night, and of course, a trusty rifle beside me. Sounds like you had a run-in with a Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot living in the area. I think you're doing everything you can to protect yourself going in before that and keeping lights on. I would get some deer cams just to add to it for the IR light. And maybe even buy you an IR flashlight. They're selling those on eBay. I'm going to try that out one of these nights, guys. If I can afford to get an IR flashlight, they're not that bad. I'm going to get one of the big bright ones. And whenever I have something coming up on me just for a safety measure, I'm going to try to use that to see if I can back them off by a big bright IR light, since they don't seem to like it. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And see us tonight on the live, guys, 8 o'clock p.m. You can actually go into that thumbnail right now and click notify me so you don't miss it. We'll see you tonight.